Yes, it has, because when we were studying anthropology, we started looking into cultural relativism, and everybody started deciding that, maybe development wasn't necessarily a good thing. And the course takes quite a critical view of development. So we looked at James Ferguson and etc. And that, does change your opinion on things, and, makes you much more aware of the bad sides of development. And, but still, I'm quite positive about development as a concept. Not everybody is, but I think it has its place in the world.
Certainly the degree has looked at development in a very critical way, where we've seen a lot of fault with development in the past. So it does make you a little bit more sceptical about it, and on the whole it seems that most development does actually not do very well. But on the whole there's still that opportunity where you can actually go out and still make a little difference. So I still have a belief in that.
The problems are very complex and quite hard to deal with, really. So in some ways it's a bit depressing in that there's no really easy solutions to a lot of the problems, and in reality probably like poverty I don't think is ever going to be totally eradicated. But I think I also realised in that whilst you're not going to be able to totally change the whole situation, you can help individual people a lot, and that's definitely possible to help communities and individuals. That's encouraging.
It's not as simple as I thought when I came. I thought when I first arrived that development was about sort of helping people in developing countries, whereas now I see that there's a lot more to it. Sometimes it doesn't really help to go in with a whole load of money and just throw it at various projects. I've learned that there's a lot of kind of research needed before development projects are implemented. The development projects can actually have negative effects, which I didn't realise before. And there's a lot more to kind of the research and the sort of anthropological stage before anything really happens with development, and that was something I was completely unaware of before I started studying the subject.
The social side of it, so the politics and anthropology and sociology bits, I think it's really, really well taught, and I find it really interesting. The lecturers are very knowledgeable, and I find they just make it really interesting.
I really like the politics. I'd never done politics before, so they cover all the key concepts, and you feel you get an understanding. And I really liked health and development and population, just because Peter Lloyd Sherlock is a really good teacher, and he really knows his stuff. He's one of the world experts on ageing populations, so to be taught by someone like that, it's really impressive.
I quite like the lecturers who are quite energetic and very motivated about their course, and they always seem to be the ones who are doing something slightly different. So, particularly I like the people like Oliver Springate-Baginski and John Finn-Patterdon, who do all the empowerment and local Indigenous issues, and how they are so enthusiastic about that, and that feeds off.
Definitely the module we're doing at the moment, Politics and International Development, we've been taught by some really interesting people who have actually been involved in sort of nation building and have been personally involved in some really, really huge projects in the developing world to do with, electoral systems, voting, citizenship, that sort of thing. And I've been really, really impressed with the way that it's been taught, and, the first-hand experience that we're being told about.
I'm quite interested in businesses and the impact they have on the people who work for them, and just communities at large. Corporate responsibility and businesses' effect on the world is quite interesting.
I quite like feminism, even though that's a bit of a cliche, university female student. But yeah, I'm into feminism, gender studies, reproductive rights, sexual health rights. I'm planning to do my dissertation on ethnic conflict and gender roles, because we recently did ethnicity and it quite intrigued me. I
study Spanish with international development, so I haven't really been able to specialise yet in development. I'm still sort of just doing the theory modules. I'm really sort of interested in the politics side of things, in human rights, and that's something I'm looking forward to looking into in my final year, and maybe kind of pursuing that as a career.
I'm quite politically minded, so the idea of social movements and local activists increasing and helping the livelihoods of Indigenous people has always appealed to me, and how basically they help to actually empower people to take control of their own lives. So that's a particular direction I'm focusing on.
I'm getting a bit more specific about things I want to go into and things. but not necessarily a specific idea of the area I want to go into. I probably wouldn't go into journalism because I've learned that I'm not a talented writer, but apart from that, yeah, good.
I've got maybe a bit more of a focus as to what I want to do in the future, but my plan still is basically to finish a degree and then just do a bit more travelling and just see where it takes me. So that's still the plan, and that probably will remain a plan.
My plans for the future have changed. Obviously I study Spanish, and I'd quite like to look into sort of the interpreting side of things, maybe more than the actual development. So being an interpreter within the field of development would be really interesting, or within, you know, an EU institution or something that deals with development work. But definitely I'd quite like to be involved more in the linguistical side of things than the actual development side.
I don't really know what I want to do, which is a bit of a, I don't know, well, it's not a problem yet. I've got another year and a half, so I know. So they've not, there's no plans really, so they've not changed from anything. Yeah.